West Virginia has played 4 games this season and 1 game in the Big 12. They sit at 2-2 and 1-0 in Big 12 play. But there is a lot of negativity and a lot of angst amongst the West Virginia fans. But I'm here to explain why each game on the schedule for the Mountaineers is still winnable and their goals are still attainable. And in this episode, which is brought to you by Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner Attorneys at Law, I'm going to go game by game and explain why each opponent is beatable. So stick around, and we'll do that right after this word from said sponsor. Since 1931, the attorneys at Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner have been the voice for victims who have suffered serious injury or death. They have a fierce passion for truth and justice and a sincere compassion for those who have been wronged by others. Whether you have been in a car accident or fighting with an insurance company, or you or a loved one has suffered serious injury or death due to medical negligence, we will ensure your voice is heard loud and clear. Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner will ensure there is justice for all West Virginians because we are your lawyer, your voice. Visit us at yourlawyeryourvoice.com. What is up? Come on in. Welcome into this edition of Couz's Corner. Belly yourself up to the bar and let me pour you out this shot of top shelf college football content. Of course, I'm your host, Couz. And if you're new around here, that's all I do is serve up top shelf content, top shelf news and analysis about West Virginia, the Big 12, and conference realignment. I'm going to get you so drunk on content today, you're going to be just like the Big 12 conference is. You're going to be drunk. Now, we've seen through week 2, the parity that exists in this league, or through 2 weeks of conference play, I should say, the parity that exists in this league, the close games we're going to see in this league, it's going to be no different for West Virginia. They played 1 game. It came down to the wire. They had an 11-point comeback win late in the game to defeat Kansas, who right now looks to be one of the worst teams in this conference. But yet Kansas, almost every game they've lost has been a 1-score game. So your worst teams in the league can beat your best teams in the league on any given Saturday for the most part. Maybe Houston's an exception to that. I don't know. But, heck, they may even pull off a win or 2 before it's all said and done if Willie Fritz can get that team moving in the right direction. It's no different for West Virginia. And even though West Virginia fans are a little negative right now because of the losses to Pitt and Penn State and because of the fact that we didn't look great in our wins over Kansas and FCS Albany, a lot of fans are even calling for coaching changes. I've been on that negative bandwagon at times too. But I'm trying real hard to stay behind this team because their goals are still ahead of them. They could still win the Big 12. And if you've watched these games like I have, you see that every team in the Big 12 is beatable. They all have weaknesses. They all have vulnerabilities. Utah showed vulnerabilities. Don't know what's going on with Cam Rising. Oklahoma State's been beaten. Kansas State has been beaten. BYU hasn't been beaten, but their offense doesn't look great. There is not a team in this league that's not beatable. And yes, West Virginia's schedule, it looks brutal on paper, especially the 4 games they have coming up in a row. But West Virginia could still win all, if not at least most of these games. And I'm going to explain why, and I'm going to go game by game and explain why each opponent is beatable, and each game is winnable for the Mountaineers. Let's start off with the game coming up this Saturday, the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Now, I'm not giving you a prediction here or anything. I'm just going to tell you why each team's beatable, but Oklahoma State right now is struggling on the defensive side of the football. They are last in the league in total defense and rushing defense. They are giving up 481 total yards a game and 201 yards on the ground. We all know West Virginia loves to run the football. We all know the strength, or the offense has been the strength of this team for the most part the last year and a half. They should be able to put up yards with C.J. Donaldson, with Jaheim White. Maybe, Jaheim White has not so far this season lived up to our expectations. Maybe this is the breakout game for him this year. I like West Virginia's chances of being able to run the ball in this game. And on the flip side of the ball, Oklahoma State is only 14th in rushing offense. Believe it or not, even with Ollie Gordon, a Heisman candidate, they're 14th at 102.2 yards per game. They're struggling to run the ball. Now, they've been able to throw the ball pretty well, but they're having to throw it a lot. So Alan Bowman's completion percentage is not great, but he is completing a lot of passes. Now, that doesn't play into West Virginia's strengths necessarily. But when you look at the fact that West Virginia's offense should be able to score and score often against this Oklahoma State defense, I like West Virginia's chances here. I like it. Even though it's in Stillwater, I see no reason West Virginia can't go into that game and win it, outside of the fact Neal Brown has struggled in away games. So again, I'm not predicting it necessarily. I'll do a prediction on the Golden Blue Breakdown show later in the week, but it's winnable. This is a winnable football game for the Mountaineers. Let's go to game 2 coming up on this list, which is the Iowa State Cyclones. After West Virginia goes to Stillwater, they come home next week. Big announcement made. I think it was yesterday. This is going to be the official Coal Rush game for the Mountaineers. They're going to be wearing their black Coal Rush uniforms. The game is at night now. I like this game is even more winnable now. West Virginia, there's something about Mountaineer Field at night. It's exciting. The fans get riled up. It's just a tough place to play. It's going to make it a tougher environment for Rocco Becht and company to come in and win. The fans should show up and show out, especially if they win in Stillwater this coming Saturday. Now, Iowa State's a good team. I had them at number 1 or as one of the top shelf teams in the conference after 2 weeks into conference play. But they're not invincible. They're only averaging 28 points a game, and that includes a 52-point performance against their FCS opponent in week 4. Every other game, they've scored 20 or 21 points. So they're not putting up a ton of points. Now, their defense has been really good. They're limiting teams on that side of the ball. But if West Virginia can manage to score some points against that tough Iowa State defense, I think they can limit Iowa State's offense, especially in Morgantown at night. So that game is winnable. Will it be tough? Absolutely. But it is winnable. Next game on the list for the Mountaineers is another home game, the Kansas State Wildcats. Kansas State looks really good in their win over Oklahoma State this past weekend. But the week before, they got absolutely trounced by BYU, who it turns out looks like a pretty good team. But, again, Kansas State's beatable. They do have some vulnerabilities. They don't throw the football that well with young quarterback Avery Johnson. Yes, he's a great runner, and he's been passing the ball good enough to win most games. But he's also shown that he's not necessarily there yet, quote unquote, as an elite passing quarterback. Kansas State is 14th in the league in passing offense. West Virginia's weakness has been guarding the pass. So that lines up well for West Virginia, at least so far, based on what we've seen through 4 games and 1 conference game for the Mountaineers. Then on the flip side, when you look at Kansas State's pass defense, that's not great either. They're 11th in the conference in pass defense. So Garrett Green and company may be able to get the pass game going against the Wildcats. But like I said before, this game is in Morgantown. So to me, that makes this game winnable against the Wildcats of Kansas State. Now let's go to the next game. After West Virginia hosts Kansas State, they have to go out west to play one of the newcomers in the league, the Arizona Wildcats. I'm looking forward to this game. Arizona's a fun team to watch. They have Noah Fafita, Tedero McMillan, arguably or at least one of the best quarterback and receiver duos in the country. Some would have said coming into the year they were the best. Not sure that holds true now. I think Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter have an argument there as well, but nonetheless, they're good. But Arizona's also beatable. Now, Arizona's coming off a big win over Utah at Utah. They've also gotten trounced by Kansas State, who got beat by BYU. So you see what I mean? It's just anybody can beat anybody. It's crazy. But Arizona's offense right now is only averaging 28 points a game, which is not blowing it out of the water. It's not elite. They're actually tied with Iowa State, rather, in that category, which is 13th in the league. And on defense, they're not great at stopping the run. They do have a tendency to give up a lot of rush yards on defense. 154.5 a game is actually what they're giving up, which is 12th in the conference out of 16 teams. So again, C.J. Donaldson, Jaheim White, Garrett Green may be able to get some yards on the ground, chew up clock, keep that ball out of Tedero and Noah Fafita's hands, and win the game that way. Now, it's in Arizona. It's an away game, so it'll be tricky, but it's a winnable game for the Mountaineers. Then the Mountaineers have a bye week before having another away game, this time a little bit closer to home, against the Cincinnati Bearcats. This team is better than what a lot of people thought they were going to be coming into the year. They're coming off a close loss against Texas Tech in Lubbock, but that offense put up a ton of yards and a ton of points, 41 points to be exact. The problem with Cincinnati has been on defense. They are 13th in the league in total defense. Next team up for West Virginia is the Cincinnati Bearcats. After a bye week, they go on the road again, this time closer to home. They go to Nippert Stadium to face Cincinnati. Now, Cincinnati's offense has played really, really well. They just put up 41 points on Texas Tech in Lubbock. Brendan Sorsby looks like the answer at quarterback there for them. They also obviously have a good running game with Corey Connor, assuming he's healthy. He did get injured in that last game. But their offense is legit. One of the best in the league. Problem is with Cincinnati is on the defensive side. They're 13th in the league in total defense, giving up 407.6 yards a game. They're also 14th, which is 2 from the bottom, in rushing defense, giving up 158.6 a game. Again, that plays right into West Virginia's strength of wanting to run the football. And Garrett Green might even be able to get some yards in the pass game because they're only 12th in the league in pass defense, where they give up 249 yards a game. So Cincinnati has struggled a little bit to stop teams. So they're having to outscore people, basically. Hopefully West Virginia can prevent it from being a shootout by running the football well, playing keep away, so to speak, controlling the clock, and using that good run game against Cincinnati's has been up to now anyway, weak run defense. Now it is at Nippert. It's an away game. I'm sure Cincinnati fans will be excited. They'll probably sell out the game. So it'll be tricky. But the game is extremely winnable. And, I haven't seen the odds lately or ESPN's FPI recently, but West Virginia should be favored in that game. Now, a lot of that will depend on what happens the rest of the way, but West Virginia could be favored in that game going into Cincinnati. We'll see. Next game up for the Mountaineers, they come back home to play the Baylor Bears. Now, Baylor has never won in Morgantown, so that's reason number one. I like West Virginia's chances here. Another reason, things are not looking good at Baylor right now. Dave Aranda's on the hot seat. They're 0-2 in Big 12 play. They just keep finding ways to lose football games. They had a bad season last year. I think they won only 3 games a year ago. Now, Baylor's a respectable program, and they will probably keep the game close, even if West Virginia does win it. But, man, they are struggling offensively. They are 15th in total offense at only 368.8 a game in the league. They're 11th in rushing offense, so they're not running the ball well. They're only running it at 146.2 yards per game. And they've given up 9 sacks, which plays right into the hands of what West Virginia likes to do on defense, which is get after the quarterback with T.J. Jackson, Tyron Bradley, and that talented defensive front. And the linebackers can't leave them out. And the game's in Morgantown. Like I said earlier, Baylor has struggled in Morgantown, so that game is absolutely winnable. And West Virginia technically should win that game, the way Baylor has been struggling. Next game up for the Mountaineers are the UCF Knights, who come into Morgantown in late November. Should be a cold night or day in Morgantown. Maybe that's an advantage for the Mountaineers. We will see as the young men from Florida come up to play a game. They're accustomed to the heat, obviously. But outside of that, there are other reasons West Virginia could win this game. UCF is struggling on the defensive side. Yes, they can run the ball well. They have a really good offense. R.J. Harvey might be the best back in the league. But UCF struggles to stop people. They are 12th in the league in scoring defense, giving up 24.8 points a game. They are 13th in passing defense, giving up 251.5 yards a game. So Garrett Green and company may be able to have some success in the pass game. And they have only sacked the opposing quarterback 3 times in 4 games. That is last in the Big 12. They are not getting to their opposing quarterbacks and wreaking havoc. That, again, bodes well for Garrett and that offense. Hudson Clement could have a day. Preston Fox, Traylon Ray, Jaden Bray, that receiving core could have a good day that day. Now, on the flip side, yes, KJ Jefferson, or I'm sorry, RJ Harvey is really good at running. KJ Jefferson can even run when he wants to. But that offense is kind of one-dimensional. They're not great at throwing the football. And they have given up 8 sacks of their own on the year. So that defensive front of West Virginia, that front 7, may be able to get to KJ Jefferson and cause some turnovers or some sacks. So I like West Virginia's chances against UCF at home in late November. Now, last but not least, Let's go to the next team on West Virginia's schedule, which is the Texas Tech Red Raiders. When you look at Texas Tech, they're putting up a ton of points. They're one of the top offenses in the conference, maybe even in the country. They're 4-1 on the year, 2-0 in Big 12 play. Things are looking up at Texas Tech, right? And it is in Lubbock because it's going to be a tough environment. Joey McGuire and that team usually do well at home, but it doesn't mean this game's not winnable for multiple reasons. Number one, Coach Brown and his teams usually close out the year well, even on the road. For whatever reason, they normally play better at the end of the year than at the beginning. So that brings me some hope. Also, when you look at Texas Tech defensively, they have a lot of holes. They are last in the Big 12 in scoring defense, giving up 34.4 points a game. They are also next to last in total defense, giving up 463 yards per game. And they're last in passing defense, giving up 309 yards per game. Now, these stats are across all games, not just Big 12 games, but all games. Since they've only played 4 or 5 games, it's not fair just to look at the conference games at this point. But anyway, Texas Tech's defense can be scored on. They will give up points. I like West Virginia's offense against their defense. Their defense also don't get a lot of sacks. They only have 4 sacks in 5 games. So Garrett Green should be able to do what he wants to do, hopefully, in that game. Again, they're great offensively, and West Virginia's defense has struggled, especially in that secondary. So the way this game's laid out, if things continue to progress the way they've looked so far, if the trends continue, this could be a very high-scoring football game when we get to late November here. But who knows what could change by then. But I do think West Virginia can score against Texas Tech. So it should make for a fun and interesting football game. But it is winnable, even though it's in Lubbock. And again, like I said, these games are also very losable for West Virginia. So I'm not sitting here predicting West Virginia's going to run a table or anything like that. I'm just laying out the facts that we need to stay behind this football team because everything that they want to achieve in this season is still attainable. Winning the Big 12 is still attainable. Even getting to the CFP is attainable if they do happen to win the Big 12. Again, I'm not predicting it to happen. It's not even likely to happen, but it's possible. And the way this conference is, as crazy as it is, with teams we thought were bad being good, teams we thought were good so far being bad, crazy upsets, close games, comebacks, all this stuff, anything's possible on any given Saturday. So do not rule the Mountaineers' chances out of obtaining a Big 12 Conference Championship. I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments section. Do you think West Virginia can win most of the games on their schedule going forward, if not all of them? And did I get any of these teams wrong? You let me know if you're a fan of one of these teams. Did I get anything wrong about the analysis of your team? Let me know in the comments section. If you're a West Virginia fan watching this, I want to remind you that I have partnered with the guys over at WV Sports Now, Mike Ostie and his team. And if you want to sign up for the Holler, which is their behind-the-scenes content and their ad-free content, you can go to WVSportsNow.com, sign up for the Holler, and at checkout, use promo code Couz, C-O-U-Z. You get 40% off a 1-year membership of the Holler at WV Sports Now. That's a $34.99 value. You get it for $20.99 for a year, only with promo code Couz. Make sure to take advantage of that offer today. It's WVSportsNow.com. Go to the Holler, sign up, use Couz at checkout. Also want to give a shout-out to my VIP channel members of this episode. They are Shannon Miller, Houston Cougars Germany, Timbo, Timothy Hedrick Jr., Tom Dean, Denny Allen. Thank you all for your support and your continued financial support here as a VIP member. Also want to remind you, you can join and become a member by hitting the join button below or going to my channel homepage and hitting it there beside my profile photo. You can also support me absolutely free. Absolutely free. All you have to do, if you liked this video and thought I earned it, hit that thumbs up button for me. It helps the YouTube algorithm, help get this video out to more people. Subscribe to the channel, help me get to my next big goal of 10,000 subs. You can also share it with your family and friends. Let them know about me here as I share West Virginia Big 12 and conference realignment content almost daily. And last but not least, the comment. I mentioned leaving a comment. That helps too, helps the algorithm. Another shout out to my sponsor, Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner Attorneys at Law. If you need a personal injury attorney or medical malpractice attorney in West Virginia or Virginia, they're also licensed in Virginia, go to yourlawyeryourvoice.com or call them at 304-999-HURT, and they should be able to help you with your problems. I appreciate you tuning into this episode. Check out the one I have here for you in the corner of your screen. You may like it as well. I hope the rest of your day is top shelf, and cue Country Roads.